Shanon, hi.
Downey, this is your team. Please meet us at Dairy Queen. We miss you, Downey. Please. Please go home, Downey.
My name is Shanon, hi, and I'm running to be your junior class president.
Whoa, where'd the seat cushion go?
We forgot.
Shannon, where's Shannondale? Do you know about this?
They'll never notice.
Twice! You lost twice!
Welcoming to the Shanon Show, we have head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers and the Australian national basketball team. It is Brett Brown.
Hello there. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you on the show, Brett. How are you?
I'm doing good. Obviously, it hurts to see the team get swept in four to Boston, but so I guess I'm not doing good now that I think about it.
That's understandable, Brett. I know I'm a big Sixers fan myself. Obviously, it was tough to watch, but I still appreciate a lot of things you do as a coach, and we're going to get into that. You're coming off the yes, of course. You're coming off the tough sweep from the Celtics. There's a lot of areas of concern.
If you want, technically we lost in 4 games, so the media calls it a sweep. But I think that there's some games that we might have won morally in that series. So
moral wins?
Yes, moral wins. So
right.
I wouldn't exactly call it a sweep. But I think we got some more victories in there. So maybe we'll say they won in 5 or 6 games.
Okay, so you lost the series in 5 or 6 games morally. Sure, Brett. Regardless, a key area of concern in terms of production is Tobias Harris. He didn't hit a three-pointer until the 4th game, which was a moral and actual loss. I'm not sure what you want to call it. What do you think about his production in that series, and do you expect him to step up as a leader?
Well, Tobias is a great person to have around in the locker room. He's a leader in the locker room, someone who's great to have around the team. He inspires everyone on the team, the veterans, the rookies, the role players, the star players. He is a natural-born leader, Tobias Harris, and he is such a huge, important part of our future here in Philadelphia. So I am very happy with his performance in the playoffs.
Very happy. If you say so, Brett. But you cannot deny the concern of the Philly fans overall. I mean, they went through the process, the tanking. Obviously, that wasn't your decision, but you were a part of it. They were losing. Yes, they were losing intentionally, and there doesn't seem to be much to show for it.
I wouldn't call it losing intentionally. We were trying to win every game back in what you call the process days. The fact was that a lot of teams had better players than us, but we tried our best to win every game.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And sure. So, but in the end, not a lot to show for it. You have the 2 superstars, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, who a lot of people don't think are a great fit. Where do you think the next step is?
Who says they're not a great fit? They are best buddies. They are like peanut butter and jelly. They go perfect together, Ben and Joel.
Well, can we agree that they would go better together if Ben Simmons could develop a jump shot?
Well, Ben's still working on his jump shot in practice. Hopefully this extended offseason we have now will give him the opportunity to develop a jumper in training camp and in practice. We want to get Ben comfortable taking some mid-range shots and then eventually some 3-point shots from the corners, maybe the top of the arc. So hopefully we'll see some.
Right.
You go ahead.
No, so do you agree that once he hits those jumpers, he would be a better fit with Joel, so you don't have as much guys trying to attack the paint?
I think you can say that, yes.
So what did you think with Joel's performance in the playoffs? Obviously, he had to carry quite a big load because Simmons was hurt. What did you think of Joel?
Joel's a warrior, man. He's just the best player. He fights for every play. He's the toughest guy on the court, Joel Embiid. He is such a star player, and he's a great leader around the locker room, too.
Really? I mean, he played a lot more minutes in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. What do you think about his conditioning, Brett? Because a lot of people, that was a big area of concern as well. Was Joel Embiid going to be in shape? Do you think he was in good shape?
I think he was in good shape for the playoffs. He did get a little bit tired in the 4th quarter, so my only advice to him would be maybe have one less Shirley Temple a night.
Yeah, I know your relationship with your players is very good. So let's cut right to it then. Do you think after that playoff series against Boston that you are in danger now of losing your job?
Well, obviously there's a lot of criticism coming towards me from the fans and the media after this disappointing result. And not just towards me and the coaching staff, but the players and the front office as well. And, that's Philadelphia for you. They're so passionate about their teams that they get very upset, more upset than us personally, when we lose. So obviously there's going to be some fans demanding my head on the stake. But, after 7 years here, me and the coaching staff have developed a very good relationship with the front office. So I personally do not feel in danger, but who knows what will happen. I feel personally safe. I'll talk to Elton after, soon probably. Hopefully we'll be able to come to a mutual agreement on what the future holds. Hopefully it's one where we're still together.
It's great. You also did show a little bit more emotion than you usually do on the sideline during some of those playoff games. You seemed a little more heated. Could you feel was it a little more intense out there for you than obviously the regular season, but past playoff experiences?
Well, a lot of the anger I was showing in the playoff games was mainly due to the calls by the referees. They made a lot of calls I disagreed with. I think if we got some calls that went our way, we might have won a game or two in that series, and we would be looking at a much different situation right now. So that's why I said before, yeah. I wouldn't exactly call it a sweep.
Right. So I would agree there was some suspect officiating in some parts of those games for sure. A big headline from last year's offseason was the acquisition of Al Horford. Obviously, I don't know how involved you are in bringing players into the city, but what did you think of him this year? Because a lot of the fans, they were not a big fan of him. They didn't think he fit. You already have Ben and Joel, who, you think they fit, but a lot of people think they might not, and then you bring in another center, play him at the power forward. How did you think Al Horford performed this season?
Well, first of all, Al Horford's not a center. He's a power forward. He'll tell you that himself whenever you ask him he wants to play center. Now, The thing about Al is he's a great veteran to have on this team. He has many years of experience in the NBA, the National Basketball Association. So he's someone that guys like Joel, and guys like Kyle O'Quinn, Norvell Pell, Jonah Bolden can look up to. So he's a great guy to have around. And he's a great defender too, Al Horford. He can defend any position, the 5, the 4s, the 3s, and the 2s and 1s. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
You think he can guard the 2s and 1s, Brett?
Of course he can. He can guard any play on the court. He's one of the best defenders in the league.
Right. He does have good length on defense. Another great defender for you guys this year was rookie draft pick Matisse Thybulle. He was outstanding on the defensive side of the ball. I would say he still has room to grow offensively. Would you agree with that?
Well, I always like to say that Matisse is a rookie in name only because, first of all, he's a 4-year college player, so he's already is older than some of the 2nd and 3rd-year players on our team. And second of all, he's just so mature for his age. He plays like a veteran, even though he's only a rookie. And that's how he handles himself in the locker room. And yes.
Go ahead.
You could say, obviously, he needs to work on his jumper a bit more so he can get some open 3-point shots that go in. And, he works on it in practice, so hopefully he'll have a much better shot when it comes around to season 2 for him.
That sounds great. I cannot wait to see that from Matisse. He's one of my favorites, and he's my mom's favorite. Shout out, Mom.
Shout out your mother.
Thank you, Brett.
Very nice lady.
Yes. I don't know what you mean by that, Brett, but let's talk about another guard on the Sixers, Shake Milton, who you moved to the point guard spot, moving Ben Simmon to power forward briefly before he got injured. Shake Milton stepped into the role. He had a little bit of beef with Joel Embiid. Do you know what went on there? Do you have any comment on that little quarrel?
Well, first of all, let me talk about Shake Milton for a bit. Now, Shake Milton, he's born to play in Philadelphia. Let me tell you that. The grit, grind, and hustle he shows embodies the city of Philadelphia.
Right.
The fight was... So I think he's perfectly poised to be the point guard of our future. What I see from him in this bubble, before the bubble, when Ben Simmons was out in injury, shows that he is our point guard of the future. He will be here for years to come, hopefully.
Do you think he can mesh with Joel Embiid then? I'm not sure if you
Well,
know.
let's talk about this incident. It both came from the shared passion that Joel and Shake have for the game. There was a little bit of
Right.
disagreement on defensive matchups and passing, and the tensions boiled over. Because as a team, we're very frustrated when we're losing, and sometimes teammates will go at each other when we're frustrated. But at the end of the day, we made things up, and you saw in the next game, Joel helped Shake up from the floor. That's showing how they're over it. The beef was never a beef. It was squashed right away because we all love each other in this locker room.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Shake Milton's another one of my favorites. I love the way he plays the game as well. I think you're spot on with that. Uh, let's talk about another player who I think we were hoping to have a role this year. He had an unfortunate allergic reaction, if that's correct. We're talking about Zhaire Smith. What do you want to see from him?
Well, Zhaire is still developing. We've seen some good stuff from him in practice. We sent him down to Delaware in the G League to play for the Blue Coats at times. So, yeah, he's a long-term project, I would say, Zhaire Smith, but he's got lots of potential. I think we could see some great things from Zhaire in the coming years.
I surely hope so. There's definitely a spot for him on this team, in my opinion. I'm really hoping he can step up. I'm going to look back to the past just a little bit with you, Brett, because there's some big things that have come up that I'm not sure if I've heard your take on specifically. First one, I want to talk about Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz was drafted #1 overall in 2017 over one of the guys who was the star player on the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum. Obviously, that's not your decision, Brett. I'm not sure how much input you have into that. But Markelle obviously did not pan out. Traded him to the Orlando Magic for what was, $1 million. So what happened?
And
with
Jonathan
Markelle?
Simmons.
Right, and Jonathan Simmons.
Solid
So
role player for us last year, Jonathan
Right.
Simmons.
So what happened? I mean, I know there was an accident. His jumper
You know,
was completely gone.
obviously, Markelle was a great talent coming out of college. All the experts, those who know what they're talking about, said he's the #1 pick. He's going to be the best player in the draft. And unfortunately, what happened is he had a freak injury of his shoulder that messed up his development coming into the NBA, and he had some issues with his shot after that. And he would work in practice with his jump shot, but he never recovered from that injury, really. And unfortunately, he thought that it was best for a change of scenery. And, but he continued to work hard to get back to the level he was at in college. And, I'm proud of seeing him get better down in Orlando with the Magic. I wish him the best.
You're still rooting for him? That's good to hear. That's
Of
good
course,
to hear.
I am.
So let's talk about another player who you very recently part ways with. He was one of the lead players on the team that went to the Eastern Conference semifinals on that devastating shot to Kawhi Leonard. Jimmy Butler traded him in a sign-and-trade for Josh Richardson. What was your relationship with Jimmy Butler like, Brett?
James Butler, as I always like to call him, the one that dot in the room. We had a great working relationship together. He was just someone who you want to have the coach. He's just the perfect player, the coach. Just the intensity he shows at every practice. He goes to the gym at 4 a.m. He's a coach's dream to have. Sometimes we'd have disagreements over what to do and what play to have and how we're playing the game. But that just comes from the shared passion and intensity we have for the game. So sometimes it would get personal, but at the end of the day, we both knew that we were good with each other because we both wanted the same end goal, a championship in Philadelphia last year.
Right, and then obviously I guess the offseason came around. He wanted to look someplace else. Is there any hard feelings there, Brett?
I wouldn't say there's any hard feelings. Obviously, having someone like Jimmy would have been nice this year, but you can't fault a player for choosing to go wherever he wants. That's the whole point of free agency in the first place. It wouldn't be called free agency if the players weren't free to choose.
That is right. That is right. One last thing, Brett. You anticipated to be the #1 seed in the East this year. You said that in a press conference. You'll be playing bully ball with Al Horford and Joel Embiid rocking it down low in the paint, throwing Ben Simmons in there, Tobias Harris, who's another power forward. I don't know what your thing is with power forwards, Brett, but
That's
you
not my thing. That's Elton Brand's thing. He's a power
Right.
forward, so he loves power forwards.
That's right, power forwards. You wanted to be the #1 seed in the East. That didn't pan out. What was the #1 thing that went wrong?
There was a lot of things that hurt our season this year. Now, the first thing, this is not the main thing, but this was part of the thing. Obviously, the pandemic and the bubble. We had a lot of injuries at the time it stood, but when the season stopped, but you never know what could have happened. Maybe we caught fire. We could have been the 3 seed or the 4 seed. Instead, we were the 6 seed because of the bubble. But the same, yes. And the most important thing, I think, that hurt us this year was the injuries. You saw Ben miss extended time. Joel miss extended time. Tobias, Al, Joshua, they all missed minutes, all missed games this year. And that really hurt us. We never had the chance to build chemistry.
Right, I would agree. There was definitely some lacking chemistry just from a fan's perspective. The team, I never really felt like had enough time to really gel together. The starting 5 didn't play as many minutes as we were all hoping for. But anyways, Brett, that's going to wrap things up. I really appreciate you coming onto the show. I know you've been doing a lot of radio interviews this week. In the past day or two. It's been an absolute pleasure. This is actually one of the happiest things, moments of my life, talking to the Sixers head coach. I wish you well in the future. Yes, and that's all. Thank you.